Hi folks, it's been a while since I recorded one of these videos, but this week I wanted to talk about a new feature that we're going to be introducing in Microsoft 365 DSC as part of release 1.22.727.1, which is going to happen next week at the time of recording this video. And it is probably the biggest feature we've released in over a year as part of the solution. People have been asking for a while for ways to be able to filter or to speed up the export process. The export is when you're taking a snapshot of an existing tenant and reverse engineering that into DSC code. So what we've done is we've actually introduced filtering capability for the export M365 DSC configuration component. So right now, if you were to go in and run an export for a workload, let's say Azure AD, what it's going to do is it's going to return every single instance of the resources that it found. So it's going to start So it's going to start with Azure AD application. It's going to move on to the authorization policy, and then so it's alpha sorted, right? But right now, if you go and do an export of Azure AD, you can see here that I have 202 applications in my tenant. That is a lot. So what we've done is we've actually added the capability to filter at the resource level. So this new filter parameter for the, so it's filters plural at the export M365 DSC configuration level, lets you take in an hash table that will define the filters at the resource level. So in this case here, I'm saying whenever you hit the AAD application resource, filter based on this. So in this case here, I'm only going to be returning applications that have their created date time after June 1st of this year. For the Azure AD groups, I'm only going to get groups that have their display name start with Microsoft. So if I go in and run this now, we're going to see that instead of getting 202 resources, I should get only a subset of those that have been created after June 1st. So we're just going to give it a few seconds to run. But the idea is that you can specify multiple filters for the resources. Right now, the resources that support filtering are resources that implement the Microsoft Graph workload. So those are Azure AD, Intune, Planner, and O365 resources. So if we take a look at this here, we can see now that I only have 12 applications that are being exported, right? So those are the 12 applications that have been created after June 1st. So it makes the export process much faster if I only want to target specific applications in my environment. Now, as I mentioned, not all resources implement filters. So if you're trying to filter, I don't know, Teams calling policy, for example, and you specify a filter in there, what's going to happen is when you get to it in the export, there's going to be a warning saying you've specified a filter for this resource. However, please note that it doesn't support filter. Therefore, all instances of this resource are going to be extracted. Okay? So you get the idea. And then when we get to the Azure AD groups, I'm only going to get 3 groups in my instance, the 3 groups that start with the word Microsoft in them. So hopefully this will open the door to a bunch of new scenarios for people out there. Please let us know of your feedback on Twitter. The account to follow is @Microsoft 365 DSC. We appreciate you using the solution. Please make sure you provide any feedback you have on the GitHub repo or using that Twitter handle I just mentioned. And on that note, I wish you all a good day.